So again, because I forgot to tape it, serving entire HTML files using the file system or FS module. Static assets, as mentioned, static assets are CSS files, image files, and client-side JavaScript. Plus, we're going to create our own router module. We looked at the picture here on the top of page 60, and we're going to change our style or our structure up a little bit. We're going to add a views folder, and in the views folder, we're going to put our HTML files. All right. So the author says the reason that you're adding your HTML files to the views folder is twofold. Number one, it's a common place that you can put everything, so all your HTML files go in there. Second, as it says, the convention is used by web frameworks that you'll learn in Unit 2. So in other words, in the next unit, we'll talk about something that's called Express.js. Express.js is going to expect, that that any HTML you have is in a folder called views. All right. So we've already done this, or we're saying we did this already. Okay. So we created the new project, and then there is the blank main.js file. Okay. So what's in there? Well, it's just a boilerplate, right? It's, I don't know if you remember this, but if you are in Visual Studio Code and you hit the exclamation point and hit tab, that's basically Emmet gives you, it's more than that, but it gives you this, basically, okay? All right. So, as it says here, the client can see this page is rendered in a browser only with the help of another Node.js core module, FS, for the file system module. Using the file system module, you can access and read your index.html file. You're going to call the fs.read file. So what that's going to say is bring that file into the program, read it. Okay? So first, as it says, we have to require that particular file. So let's take a look at our code in here. Okay? So go open up your main file if you don't have it open already. You got that? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, when we run this later, you're probably going to have to install that HTTP status codes again, just so you know. So if we run 3 versions, you're probably going to have to install it 3 times. The new line that's in here, though, is line 6. FS equals require FS. So that's saying we want to be able to use the file system. Okay? All right. Then on the next page, it's different actually than what's on the screen here. At least mine looks different. It says const route map equals, okay. So right now I'm on the top of page 62. Is that where you are? Yeah. Very top of the page. All right. What is that? That's JSON right there. You are creating a JSON object called route map. All right. The key is slash, and the data is views/xhtml. In English, what that is saying is, if you go out to http://localhost:3000/, it should get you to the home file. That's what it's saying. And again, you already saw there's not much in there. There was just like a welcome or something like that, but that's going to get you there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So look underneath that and look at the code that's in your book here on page 62. This should look familiar in that we created the server before. We're telling it it's going to read HTML. Then what it's saying is, hey, if you find a file at the URL I gave you, basically write it back to the screen. All right, and finish. Otherwise say, sorry, not found. Does all that make sense? All right, so let's look at this, and I have no idea if it's going to work or not work, but we're going to try it anyway. So let's do this. Let's just come in here, go to your Git window here, and just so we're sure we have it, let's put in npm I http:// codes space minus capital S and hit enter. All right, clear. And let's do our node main, hit enter. It started and it's listing on 3000. Okay, so bring up your browser window, type in http://localhost:3000/ and hit enter. I got file not found. It's okay. We're gonna get it to work. Okay. So let's think about why that might be. All right. Okay. Well, if you would please go back into Visual Studio Code. Okay. Under Views, do you have an index.html file? I do too. All right, and it says homepage. That's good. That actually is good. So let's go back to here. I'm going back then to my main.js. I think the one that we have for 6.1, I think that's the one that's shown on page 63. Because that's the one that's got the const get view URL, etc. All right. So we're going to try this one more time. http://localhost:3000/index. Did it say welcome? Okay, that was the problem. So what it did was it went over to that views folder and it said you have a file in there called index. And if you do, show it on the screen. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So again, that's listing 6.3. It's pretty much what I just told you. Now, on the bottom of page 63 in your book, do you see the warning that's in there? It says you will need to handle any and all errors that may occur. All right? Because eventually somebody will spell something wrong. You'll write index instead of index or whatever. So as we get into this more, we're going to have to account for error conditions. Okay? All right. So let's do this. You can do this with me right now. Okay? Go back into your Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, open up your views folder. Okay? Right now it's got that index file in it, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's right mouse click on the views folder, right mouse click on it and choose new file. And call this one contact.html. All right? Any problems doing that? All right. It's a new file, right? Exclamation point, tab. All right. Let's change the title of this to contact page. And let's come in here. We'll put in just, so put in an H1 that says, this is my contact page. Okay. type in a P tag. So just type in the letter P and hit tab, and that puts in a P tag for you, right? All right, type in the word lorem, L-O-R-E-M, and then type the number 50 right afterwards and just hit enter. See how that made a paragraph for you? All right, copy that paragraph a couple times. So you got about 3 paragraphs in there. All right. It doesn't have to look pretty. We don't really care about this. We're just getting some stuff done, for lack of better words. Do a file save. All right. Go back. Stop the server with a Control-C. Okay. Clear it. Start the server again with node main. All right. Go back to your browser window and put in localhost :3000 /contact. Did it find it? Don't put in contact.html, just put in contact. Okay, we're going to. Try putting in the HTTP first. You shouldn't have to. I didn't have to. But just try anyway. :/. You saved yours as contact.html? You do a file save. It's underused. Yeah, that's correct. Oh, did you stop the server? You got to stop the server and start it again. Okay, so just hit your up arrow. All right, now go back and try it again. Why would my working here not work? Everything you got in there is correct. Okay, go back to your contact page again. Do a file save. You probably already did it, but just do it anyway. All right. Go back to your Git window. Stop the server and start it again. Okay, go back to over here to your browser window, and don't just put index in there and see if it works. Okay, now change index to contact. Oh, that's really weird. I did the same exact thing as you, and mine came up just fine. I'm trying to figure out what you could have done wrong. I mean, when it says file not found, it looks like you saved it as contact.html, and it looks like you saved it under your views folder. And if you did that, there should be no way that it can be wrong. Because like I said, mine came up just fine. It's shown on the screen right here. This is my contact page, and I got my 3 paragraphs. Let's try adding one more, see what happens. All right. Go back into VS Code. Right mouse click on your views folder again. New file. Put your name in there. That's fine. Just put a key in the .html. All right. Exclamation point tab. All right. Just put a H1 tag in there with your name in it or something like that. Just something simple. Okay. Yeah, it's under views. Okay, file save. Okay, go back to there. Stop the server again. Now, did you do your NPM I? You had it? Okay, you added that too. Good. Try your node name and see if it comes up right away. All right, go back to your browser window. You know what? Open up a new browser window. Just close that one that's you got open. I can't for the life of me think, oh man, that's not working. I have to look at your code in more depth. Do you understand what we're trying to do here? Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you are working on the capstone, if you have any problems, you know, just let me know. I don't think you're going to, but I don't know what the problem is here. Like I said, why would mine work? I'd rather have mine not work and yours work. Yeah. All right, turning up to page 64. All right. This is what we're doing. I'm not going to read them to you. You can see the 5-step process. This is exactly what we're doing right now. All right. So assets, as I mentioned to you on the bottom of the page and going on to the next page, assets are HTML files are not assets. Assets are like, for lack of better words, they're the extras that make a web page look like a web page instead of, you know, if you've ever looked at HTML with no CSS, how bad it looks. All right. Well, that's because you added assets to it. All right. So what I'd like you to do, we're going to try this. We'll see if this works. Okay. Okay. In the program that you have right here. All right. Go back to your VS Code. Create a new folder. So right mouse click in an empty place in where you've got, you know, your views and everything else, but make sure it's empty in there and you want new folder, and let's call this images. All right. And let's see. Here we go. All right. Do me a favor and go out, bring up a browser window, and from your browser window, I want you to type in the following: https://source SOURCE unsplash unsplash.com/random. And when you do that, did it give you an image? All right. Then right mouse click on that image and choose Save Image As. All right, and it wants to know where to put it. So over on the side, go to your desktop. Under your desktop, you want to go to your folder that's called Finish. Under your folder called Finish, you want to go to your Serve HTML 6.1. And you want to go, oh, we screwed it up. That's okay. We'll fix it. All right. You have an images folder, right? Right there? Yeah. All right. Open that up, and it's probably got some god-awful name. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your image is because it's random. So let's just say that it's a house. Just call it house.png or JPEG, whatever it is. Just call it something. Call it Keegan. It doesn't really matter. Or just call it photo. dot, you know, whatever. That's what I'm just going to call mine, just photo. So it's in there. All right. Now, I screwed up, but it's a very easy fix. Do me a favor, please. Go back to your desktop. Under your desktop, double-click on your Finish folder. Double-click on your Serve HTML6.1, all that other stuff folder. Mm-hmm. You done all that? Yeah. All right. Right-mouse click in a blank area. Do a new folder and make a folder called Public. No, just underneath this Serve HTML6.1. Mm-hmm. Got it? Yeah. Now drag your images folder into your public folder. That's what we should have done first. I should have had you make public and then put images inside of it. Now open up that public folder. It's now got images in it, right? Make another folder. Make two more. This one will be empty for now, but make an empty folder called CSS and make another empty folder called JS. That's how you set up your public folder structure. All right. So if you look up on the screen here, not on the screen, if you look on the bottom of page 65, the top of page 65 is what I just had you do. See where the public, where the picture, etc. is? All right. Underneath that, it says, now your application structure is organized. So we want to refine our routes to better match the goal listing in 6.4. The code may appear to be overwhelming, but all you're doing is moving, etc., etc. Well, the problem is, this is the next one. So let's just take a look at what it says, okay? All right. So do you see the code that's on all of page 66 and the top half of page 67? Mm-hmm. All right. In English, what that code is saying is, okay, start going through this stuff. You see the if statement that starts about a third of the way down? Yeah. It says if url.index.html not equal to -1, that means that the file you're trying to bring up is an HTML file. All right, that's what it's saying. So if that's the case, we have to let the system know that's okay and the type is HTML. If it ends with CSS, we do the same thing, but we tell it it's a CSS file. Now you'll notice in here they got else if it's a ping, etc. But the point is this. You're able to go through there and look at that stuff. Probably the easiest way for us to get this to work. Okay, let's see. Okay, go back to your desktop. All right, go back. You're back at your desktop? Mm-hmm. All right. I want you to open up, make sure you have two things open where you've got your Finish folder open. I want it open twice. So have two different windows with that in there, okay? In the first one, go over and open up serve_HTML_6_2. You done that? Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to see if we can make this work yet. So open up your views folder. Right mouse click on index.html and choose copy. Okay. Then right mouse click it in an area there and choose paste. So you now have index_copy.html, right? Mm-hmm. Change that. Just call it Keegan again. That's fine. And open that file. Just open that file up right now. And it doesn't matter what you open it up in. You're going to close it right away anyway. Got the file open? Mm-hmm. All right. Now it has just an H1 tag in there that says welcome, right? Change it. Get rid of the word welcome and put your name in there. right, then close that file. Now, in your other window that I told you to open up with finish, open up the serve underscore HTML underscore 6 underscore 1. All right. Grab that public folder we just created and copy it. Don't copy it into views, but copy it into your serve 2. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So when you get done, serve underscore 2 should have a views folder, a public folder, main.js, package.json, and package, etc. Now, double click on that views folder, double click on your, I'm sorry, not the views folder, my fault. Double click on the public folder, double click on the images folder. All right. And do you have an image in there? Okay, good. All right. We're almost there. Okay. Now, open up. So you still have that serve HTML6 too. All right. What we want to do is we want to close our Git window. So just close that. It says processes are running. That's okay. Just close it. We also want to close whatever we have open here in VS Code. So I'm going to close that as well. I closed all the files and now I'm closing the editor. All right. Then right mouse click on your serve HTML6.2 and open that in code. Does that make sense? All right. Double click, double check and make sure under public you've got your CSS, your images, and your JS. Then open up your main.js file. Okay? You see where you've got all that stuff and you've got public images, etc., all the other good stuff that's in there? All right. Give me just a second here. I'm going to try it first. So let's see. Okay, that's done. Now, main. Okay, it's listening. Right. Post 3000/index. Oh, damn you. Come on. Here. That worked. I copied that, so I called, did I call mine Keegan? I don't remember. Yep, that works. Now I'm going to see if we can bring up the image. Well, do this. Go to your folder where you have your finish serve underscore HTML underscore 6 underscore 2. Got that? Right mouse click in there and choose Git Bash here. Immediately do your npm space I space http://codes space minus capital S and hit enter. Does that work? Do your node main. Does it say that it's running on port 3000? Oh, you're in the wrong folder. You gotta go to your, yeah. Now, close this first. Now right mouse click and do it. Now do the same thing. When it comes up, node space main, hit enter. Go ahead, minimize that. Go over to your browser window. And I don't care if you had one open, we'll open up a different one. Do your local host. Now, hold on. After the 3000, put in a dash. Put in Keegan.html. No, I'm not a dash, /. Okay, so that worked. So you were able, you should also be able to put in index.html and open up your index file. All right. So let's see. All right, I'm going to give me 30 seconds. I'm going to try something and see if it works. And if it does, I'll tell you what I did. So public images. All right. Well, we should be able to bring up our image. For some reason, I'm trying it on here and it's not bringing it up. All right. So, go back to your book, please. What I want you to understand is, again, if you look at this big if statement that is on page 66, it's saying if we have a URL that ends with .html, the content type, so you're telling the system it's an HTML file. Otherwise, if it's of type JS, you're telling it it's a JavaScript file. Otherwise, as you work your way down, you can see the other stuff that's in there. Now, I went back and I changed the extension on the one to make it a ping file, that they show in here. It still didn't open it. Now, we can try one more thing here, and that is I can come in here and in that JS folder, right now there's nothing in there. I'm going to come in there and create a real simple JS file right now. So I'm going to put in here dom.js, and I'm going to open it. And I'm just going to put in there alert, hello world. all I'm putting in there. All right, then I'm going to see if I can run that in my server. And see if the system recognizes that. Brought the file up, but it didn't run the file. That's okay. All right. All right, so as we keep going here then, I'm on page 67. You'll notice on the top of the page, the code that's on there says if error, see that? Now, normally you'll do more with it than that. You're just logging it, which really isn't doing very much. You know, it'll just show it on the screen. But normally you'd want to save it someplace. All right, it's got send error response. Well, what's that going to do? Whatever you code in there to make, you know, to have it do what you want it to do. All right. So the last thing that's in the chapter, starting on page 67, is moving your routes to another file. Notice what it says. The goal of this section is to make it easier to manage and edit your routes. If all the routes are in an if-else block, it's going to get too big. It's going to get too hard to work with. All right? And it can be a nightmare, even if it's not that big, if you start changing names and doing it whatever. So as they say here on the top of page 68, in that first paragraph on the top of the page, it says, as the main.js file grows, it's going to become more complicated. All right? So to alleviate this problem, as it says, we want to move the new routes into a new file called router.js. Okay? Also, it says restructure the way you store and handle your routes. Add the code in listing 6.5 that's on the bottom of page 68 and the top of page 69. So what we're doing is we're taking this route stuff and we are putting it in its own file. Does that make sense? All right. Now, what's important about this? Look on page 69, if you would. Look at the code. You'll notice when you go down, I don't know, maybe 10 lines or so, it says exports.handle. Can you see that? It's in a try-catch block because it's possible that you will run into an error. You will try to bring up a file type or a file name that you haven't accounted for. So that's why this is in a try-catch. All right, and notice it's got both a get in here and it's got a post. See that? All right. Pictorially on page 70, they're showing you here what's going on. Okay, but before we see that, look on page 69. Do you notice at the very bottom? At the very bottom it says exports dot. See that? What that does is that's going to make that information available. That's going to make that information available to your main.js file. You're exporting it so it'll be available to your main.js file. However, for your main.js file to use it, turn to page 71. Look on the top of the page. You see where it says router equals require /router? That says in the same folder that I'm in, find a file called router.js, and anything that's been exported from that file, make it available to me. Does that make sense? Okay, well, then that's what I'd expect. This is what I want you to do. The other stuff we did today, the stuff in chapter 5, the last chapter, any problems with that? All right, then this is what I want you to do for the rest of the period today. All right?